Hey everybody, it's low carb and keto nutrition specialist Amy Berger bringing you the one and only keto without the crazy. Who remembers the red couch? Who's been watching my videos long enough that you remember when I always used to record on the good old red couch? So for those of you who missed my previous video, I just moved. I moved from North Carolina to Virginia. I moved into a much bigger apartment, and so I need to get some more furniture. Most desperately, I need to get lamps. There's a lot less overhead lighting in this apartment than in my previous apartment, and where my current office now is, the lighting is terrible. So anyway, we're just gonna make do for now on the good old red couch, and I don't want the lack of good lighting or a pretty background to stop me from putting out videos. It's been way too long since I was putting out videos regularly for you. So we're just going to make do with what we have for now. And I know that my beloved fans understand, and I appreciate you for that. Now, Amy Berger is going to bring you something very uncharacteristic today, but stay with me. Stay with me. Do not get the wrong idea. What I'm going to do today is put on a CGM, a continuous glucose monitor. This is not the first time I've worn a CGM. I wore one maybe about 2 years ago, maybe a little more, just as an experiment. A company that I was working for actually provided one sort of for fun to the people working there. And it was pretty much flat, low and steady, you know, steady as she goes, as the sailors say or whatever. I don't expect it to be much different this time, but so when I said it was something uncharacteristic, I know some of you right now are like, no, Amy, don't do it. You're the voice of sanity and reason in keto. You're the one who's saying you don't have to track and measure everything. You don't have to wear all these devices and count your steps and your heart rate variable. Oh, like Amy, don't do it. And there's a lot of people who are under the impression that I hate testing and tracking and monitoring. I do not hate testing and tracking and monitoring. What I hate is for people to test and track and monitor when they do not understand how to interpret the data that they see. What I don't want is somebody using a glucometer or a CGM or a ketone meter or a heart rate variability, whatever, and weaponizing that information against themselves. And people do it all the time with the scale. I'm going to link to a video that I did, a video that I did on, are you trapped in an abusive relationship with your scale? I feel the same way about weighing yourself, however often you choose to do that, as I do about using a CGM or a glucometer or a ketone meter. It's fine to measure and track as long as you understand the bigger picture and you're paying attention to trends and not so much the one little blip on the radar, and that you use it as information to guide what you may change. It's fun, and some of you like to just test and measure because you just love numbers. You're just data geeks, and that's cool. That's your thing. So I am absolutely not opposed to testing and tracking and measuring. Does everyone need to use a CGM? No, absolutely not. Does everyone need to measure their glucose at all with the glucometer or measure ketones? No, absolutely not. Some people can really benefit from it, and I'll get to who those people are in a minute, or maybe I'll talk about that first, and I'll actually put the thing on at the end because I want to show you how simple it is to put on. Let me see. This is what happens when I don't have notes. You all know how this goes. Yeah, I think testing is fine for the right purpose. I have had many clients whom I recommended that they start measuring and tracking and testing certain specific things based on their personal situation. And then I've definitely had lots of clients whom I recommended to step back from the endless constant tracking and measuring because it can be crazy making. So do it for the right reasons. Do it only for as long as you need to do it to get the information and establish the patterns and trends that you're curious about. A CGM is not something you should be wearing for 6 months or a year. I know people that have worn them for a year, 2 years. My big question is, why? If you have type 1 diabetes, I can absolutely see a rationale for wearing a CGM constantly all the time. It's one of the only situations that I think makes sense to wear a CGM for that extended period of time. Most of us can get really, really helpful information to guide us in just about, well, I want to say 2 weeks. The sensors for a CGM are good for 2 weeks for the most part. Sometimes you can get more, whatever, like, or you can wear it for longer if you want, if you get a new sensor, but they're designed to be worn for about 2 weeks. So what else do I need to tell you? Okay. I am not sponsored by anyone. Nobody is giving me money to talk about this product, but the company that sent me this CGM to put on is NUTRISENSE. I will put a link. I think that I have an affiliate link. I have to double check. So I will get a small percentage if any of you happen to buy this CGM from NUTRISENSE, but they're not sponsoring. Again, they have not given me money to promote this product. It's just the one they happen to send it to me. And if I'm going to recommend something for you, it's something that I want to have used, and it's something that I know and I trust. Any affiliate thing that I have below in the notes, whether it's Element, whether it's Keto Chow, whether it's the Keto MOJO, whether it is there's a zero sugar beef jerky that I like. It's all things that I have used, that I trust. And in most cases, I've met the owners of the company. These are like true blue, good-hearted people. So it is the NUTRISENSE CGM. And before I put it on, let's run real quick through who I think this can be useful for. Because I know that some of you are like really, truly feeling very agitated right now because Amy, of all people, the queen of keto without the crazy, is talking about CGMs. Like, what is the world coming to? I want to reiterate first, not everybody needs a CGM at all. Where I think they can be very useful is a couple of select scenarios. For example, first scenario, if you, type 1 diabetes, obviously, but that goes without saying. If you have been doing a low carb or ketogenic diet and you're just not getting the results you want, it's not happening, whatever those results may be, whether it's weight loss, reversing your type 2 diabetes, reversing non-alcoholic fatty liver, getting rid of migraines, getting rid of hypertension, skin problems, PCOS, whatever. If it's not happening, it's not a terrible idea to put a CGM on because maybe you are eating things that are raising your blood sugar a lot more than you are aware of. And there's some pretty easy ways to have that not happen. Like you could get Dr. Westman's famous page 4 diet. There's a link below. Or if you read our book, End Your Carb Confusion, the phase 1 food list, if you are eating 20 total grams of carbohydrate per day, there's not a whole lot that you can even fit within that limit to make your glucose rise a whole lot. So if you are really truly sticking to an ultra strict keto diet, and I mean a ketogenic diet, not a low carb diet, like if you are ultra low carb and you're still not getting the results you want, it couldn't hurt to put a CGM on and see what's going on. At least that would tell you whether or not blood sugar is getting in the way. Another scenario where I think CGMs can be really helpful is I just lost my whole train of thought because I was going to share with you a scenario that may actually not be so helpful. Like for me, here's a little secret about me. I consider myself a volume eater. I just like to eat large amounts of food. I can graze, I can have a piece of cheese, I can have a soft-boiled egg, throughout the day, whatever. But for the most part, if I'm having a meal, I like a large meal. I like to be full. And I have put on some weight over the last 2 years. I went through some stuff that was not easy to go through, and I was coping with alcohol, not so much food, but alcohol and maybe more food than I should have been eating. And bottom line, I've packed on some weight. I'd like to get this weight off as quickly as possible. And one of the ways that something I'm actually going to experiment with is increasing the amount of vegetables I'm eating. Because if I like to be full and I like to eat a large volume of food and I'm trying to go for weight loss, based on my own personal history, I think I'm better off eating a larger portion of broccoli or a larger portion of Brussels sprouts or zucchini or eggplant or cabbage or whatever, the non-starchy vegetable, rather than having another big fatty piece of meat or even another lean piece of meat. I think there have been times in my life in the past when I was eating a lot more vegetables and I was a lot happier with how I looked and felt. So my experiment is going to be to see if increasing my carbohydrate intake from those kinds of foods, from those non-starchy vegetables, to see if that affects my blood sugar more than I realize. Because if it doesn't, great, it's not going to be a problem at all. I don't think it's going to, but it's worth seeing. And since NutriSense sent me this CGM and I have been procrastinating on this video forever because I kept telling them, sorry, I know I'm going to get to it any day now, but I'm moving. And then I had to prepare my talk for Denver and it was brand new and I was so busy. So it just happens to now be coinciding that I finally am making the time to do this video at the time when I want to start experimenting with larger amounts of vegetables. So to be clear, I'm not going to be eating like a ton of starchy and sugary carbs, but I want to see what these small amounts of increased carbs will do. And another situation in which I think a CGM can be really helpful is, and this is a little touchy, this may be a little, it's a sore spot for many of us. Let's say you've been trying to stick to keto, right? You know what to do. You just have a really hard time doing it. You know, maybe you do it for half a day or 2 days, and then it's face first into sugar. And if that's your issue, I can link to a video on like getting back to basics on keto or how to make it easier to stick to. I will put some links. But let's say that's you. You know what to do, and you know keto works. You just can't do it. Or like you do it 23 hours a day, and an hour 24 you're face first in cookies, or that's, it's midnight and it's you and a tub of ice cream. I think that having the data before your very eyes from your CGM can, for lack of a better phrase, put the fear of God into you. You already know you're eating too many carbs. You already know you're not sticking to keto the way you'd like to. But sometimes actually seeing proof of it can be what gets you to take that step that you haven't been able to take on your own. And I don't like so much the idea of using fear as a motivator, but fear can sometimes be a pretty good motivator. You know, how many times have I heard from people, well, I found keto when I was diagnosed with prediabetes, or when I was diagnosed with diabetes and I didn't want to have to take insulin, or when I got diagnosed with PCOS and my doctor told me I should, cut some carbs or whatever. Fear can be a good motivator. I don't like it as the go-to number one, but if that works. So I think just seeing it in stark relief right before your very eyes can get you to stick to keto maybe when you weren't able to do it before that. And other than that, and I am going to put the thing on soon, I promise, I'm also going to link below to a very, very important blog post that I wrote ages ago, because all my blog posts were written ages ago because I haven't written in a long time, on reasons why your blood sugar might be higher than you expect, even on a low carb or ketogenic diet. Because earlier in this video, when I said I'm not opposed to testing, I'm opposed to people testing when they freak out about perfectly normal, perfectly healthy human physiology. And so wearing a CGM, or like read that article, because if you wear a CGM or you just use a regular glucometer, you will start to see all of the different things that can affect your blood sugar, mostly raise it, totally independent of your foods and beverages, totally apart from what you eat and drink. And just off the top of my head, stress will do it. Acute stress, like if you're in a traffic jam or you get in a fight with someone or some like a really scary situation, your blood sugar can get a little bump. Exercise, especially very intense exercise, will raise blood glucose in most people. Sometimes it raises it a lot. That's normal. When you are booking it, when you are going all out intensely exercising, your muscles need the glucose. So it's perfectly fine for your liver to be pumping out all that glucose to send to the muscles. We want that. So again, if you were exercising, I mean, this happened to me the last time I wore a CGM. I think my blood glucose went to, 140, 160 or so during an intense workout, and I wasn't freaked out. It was actually really fascinating to see. So you will start to see that. You may start to see how sleep affects your blood sugar the next day. If you didn't sleep enough, or if you slept a long time but it was poor quality sleep, like you were up, waking up several times through the night, being sick, acutely sick, like if you have a cold or an infection or something, that will often raise blood sugar a little bit as well, because your white blood cells, your immune system is using the glucose. So now you don't have to wear a CGM to know this. I'm just telling you this, and you can read it in that article that I'll link to about why is my blood sugar higher on keto. But wearing a CGM can help you know that this happens, and that it's not only is it normal, it's perfectly healthy physiology. Remember, we don't hate glucose in our blood. Like, glucose is not the enemy. Insulin is not the enemy. We just don't want glucose or insulin to be super high all the time. We want it to be high for punctuated periods of time under circumstances during which it probably should be a little bit higher than normal, like acute stress or exercise or illness and stuff like that. Okay. One final thing before I put it on. My biggest beef with the CGM, or the biggest shortcoming really of a CGM, is that it is telling you your glucose. It's not telling you your insulin. And how many millions of people, I wrote a multi-part blog series years ago on this. There are millions of people walking around with perfectly normal blood glucose because super high insulin is keeping that glucose in check. That we have no insight into that from a CGM. And there are people, I'm sure, hard at work trying to develop CIMs, continuous insulin monitors, or like even just a single point finger prick insulin test like we have for glucose. That would be great, but I'm also like, please, dear God, no, like not another device that I have to talk to people about and tell them like, okay, if you want to use it, fine, but here's how to interpret the numbers you see so that you don't become terrified by your body working exactly the way it's supposed to work. So yeah, we don't, if your glucose is perfectly normal, do we know that's because it's perfectly normal, or do you have a hidden super hyperinsulinemia keeping it normal? Now, if you are on a low carb, very low carb ketogenic diet, your insulin's probably not high because you're just not eating the kind of foods that are going to make it high. But you still see my point. Okay, Amy, shut up. Put on the stupid CGM already. Although not stupid. I just didn't want to say the D word. So NutriSense sent me all the stuff. And to clarify as well, I cannot speak to anything outside the US. I'm sorry to all my international followers. I can only say what's my knowledge of what is going on in the US. To get a CGM paid for by insurance, you need a prescription from a doctor, and most doctors, I believe, fixing the hair, sorry, will only write you a prescription if you have type 2 diabetes. Maybe some will give you one for pre-diabetes. I'm not sure. I just know that in most cases, you can only get a CGM covered by your insurance if your doctor prescribes it and you have type 2 diabetes. Insurance companies do not like to pay for these things for just random healthy keto fan out there to just get a CGM for fun as a little experiment. However, with NutriSense, you can get it on your own without a prescription. You go to the website, I will link, and you just order it. The thing is that you will have to pay out of pocket. And it is not cheap, but it might be worth every penny to you if it helps you uncover stuff that you didn't realize was a problem. Maybe that keto bread that you love so much isn't quite so keto. Maybe that keto ice cream is affecting your blood sugar just as much as the real stuff. So, that kind of stuff. So you can get this on your own. You just have to pay for it. Now, the instructions, they have an app, and that's how you check everything. Let me bring up their app because it has instructions on how to put it on. Let's see. I could have sworn they had the instructions here because I just saw them earlier today, but I kind of already know how to do it anyway. I did tell you Amy Berger's gained some weight, and Amy Berger always had pretty gnarly upper arms, but you are supposed to put it on a very fatty part of your body, preferably a part of your body that is not going to like be constantly bumping into things and it's going to accidentally fall off. So most people put it on the back of your upper arm. Some people put it on their abdomen. They're like lower back above your sort of butt area. Most people put it on the upper arm. And I just showered, but just for the sake of doing this correctly to show you, well, we'll put the alcohol swab on after. This is the sensor, so it's in this little package that you take out, if you can unwrap it. Okay, so that's a little just, and then there is this applicator that you just separate like so. I hope I did that correctly. I did watch the demo earlier today and now I can't find it. It's on the app and I'm sure it's on their website too. Then you just put them together, and if you just heard that click, they said you will hear a click, you push them together. Then, then there's a little needle. You see that itty bitty needle in there? Itty bitty. It's tiny. This is the part I said I would hold off. You clean the old area with the swab. Look at all that fat jiggling. Isn't that gorgeous? Let's not go there. Then I think that you just put it on and press. Let me see if that's what this says. Oh well, I think you just press it on, I'm pretty sure. So where do we want it? How about there? Oh, there it is. I literally did not feel a thing. Didn't feel it. You don't feel it at all. And you don't have to put this on, but they do give you this this protective seats. Do I have it upside down? And S for camera's always backwards. You know how that is. And S for NutriSense, so you can cover this up. You don't have to, but why not? Why not just cover it up? And then I do have one or two more things to say before I close this video out. But I can't unwrap this sticker and talk intelligently at the same time, so let's not try to do that. I know, are you like freaked out that Amy Berger's doing this? But listen, it's all for a good cause. There we go. All right, good old NutriSense. Now, for the stuff that I wanted to say. For those of you that have never used a CGM before, you can get it wet, you can shower, you can bathe, but I think you're not supposed to, it's only good up to a certain depth and a certain amount of time. So you don't really want to keep the thing like submerged in water for a long period of time, but you can get it wet, that's fine. You can exercise, you can sweat, because I know the last time I had one of these, I was sweating. And, okay, other things you need to know. CGM's continuous glucose monitor, continuous. Unlike a single point finger prick where you just get the one reading at that moment in time, a CGM, I'm wearing it 24/7 for 2 weeks. So you scan it anytime you like. You download the app, and then when it's time to scan, you go through the appropriate step, you scan, you put it right to the, you touch, you put the thing within close proximity to the sensor, and it records your glucose. And they recommend that you scan at least 3 times a day. So at least once every 8 hours. Most people do it way more often than that, which is fine. Other interesting thing that some of you may not realize if you've never used one of these, or maybe even if you have. A CGM does not measure blood glucose. What? What, Amy? You just said it is a continuous glucose monitor. Yes. It measures glucose. It does not measure your blood glucose. Did I insert this into a vein, into an artery? No. I inserted it. The needle is very small. The needle just is right under your skin. CGMs measure interstitial glucose levels. Interstitial fluid is just the non-blood fluid that surrounds your tissues and cells, just all the like liquidy stuff that's not actually your blood. So, now all of this is on the NUTRISENSE website. Their website actually, and it's all linked to from within the app. It's honestly a real wealth of useful information about blood glucose and like what else affects my glucose besides, my food, and how to recognize trends and all this different stuff. But so the interstitial glucose is always a little bit different from your blood glucose. If you have diabetes, type 1 or type 2, and you feel unwell at any point, and your CGM is like your CGM is showing that your glucose is like totally normal, you don't know why you're not feeling well, they always recommend, and not they is not NutriSense, they is experts, doctors, people that know about this, nutritionists that know about it. We would recommend that you use a glucometer. You like just because you have a CGM, don't throw away your finger prick glucometer, because that will be more accurate. So if you are feeling like a little bit low, or if you know the signs and symptoms you get when you're especially running high, and your CGM number looks perfectly normal when you scan it, prick your finger and get a blood level, because that will be the one that you should go by. But of course, if you feel unwell at any time, do what you need to do to be safe regardless. Let me think if there's anything else I need to say about this. No, I don't think so. Just a little bit more about maybe what I'm going to be looking for. I'm going to be experimenting with larger amounts of certain vegetables. I may sneak in something off the map a little bit here and there just to see what happens. And I was going to say something else. What was it? Saying what I'm going to be looking for. Oh, right. I don't expect all that many surprises day to day, hour to hour, because I'm in ketosis most of the time. I actually do check urine several times a week, which I know a lot of people say that the urine strips don't work or they stop working. For me, they tend to work. I still see pink on those strips. So if I'm spilling a little bit of ketones into my urine, then that is a pretty good indicator to me that my insulin is low enough that my body is breaking down fat and thus producing ketones. And if my insulin is low enough to prompt my body to metabolize fat and produce ketones, then my blood glucose is probably low enough that there's no reason for my insulin to be high, right? So I don't expect any surprises with the CGM, but it will be interesting. I may be surprised because I am quite a bit heavier than I was the last time I wore a CGM. So it might be interesting to just see if my baseline is a little higher. And that's me, everybody. You know, if you thought I was perfect, sorry, sorry to burst your bubble. But this is why I can empathize with those of you who still overeat, even on a keto diet, who are binge eaters, even on a keto diet. Now, I'm not even talking binging on carbs, just overeating pork chops, overeating steak, overeating butter, overeating ribs. When, you know, for some people, they go on a strict keto diet and they just, everything comes together magically beautifully. It doesn't happen for everybody. So I absolutely empathize and sympathize with my fellow people who still struggle with food, even on a low carb or keto diet. So yeah, I guess that's it. And remember, so you can check out all the links below that I've mentioned. This is not a sponsored post. The NutriSense just happens to be a company that sent me a CGM to try for free, and I thank them for it. And again, I'm not my having made this video does not mean that I think you, personally, you right there watching, should use a CGM. Use one if you want to, if you think you are in a situation for which it might help. Most people do not need these. But that doesn't mean you might not just want to use one for fun, just to see what's going on. And that is it. Thank you for watching. This video is over 30 minutes. I'm going to try to make shorter ones. I know I always say that and I never follow through, but now that I'm in like a new place, new stuff going on, I think I will try to make shorter ones. This one was just longer because of the putting on and the whole spiel that I had to say. Like, I am still me. My faculties have not, escaped me. I am still the one who wants you to keep it simple and down to earth and uncomplicated. But doing that doesn't automatically rule out taking advantage of some of this technology where it can help us. So if you like Keto Without the Crazy, if you want to stay tuned for my shorter videos in the future, please subscribe to the channel and hit the like button, and I will see you next time. Oh, one more thing. You all know that I help Adapt Your Life Academy with those great online courses. We have the Keto Made Simple course. We've got a course based on my book on breaking fat loss stalls on keto. We've got some really great new ones coming up. We've got one on sugar and food addiction. I'm not going to tell you the ones we have coming up. You're going to have to find out for yourself. Click on the link below, adaptyourlifeacademy.com/all courses, but I will put a link below. Check out all the amazing new courses we have coming out, and you can get on the wait list so that you get notified as soon as they're ready. And that's it. I will see you next time, everybody. Bye-bye.